Hi everybody! You asked for it, you got it. Today we are going to talk about how to ground and center ourselves in order to perform our witchcraft. And grounding and centering is something that you can also use for your everyday life to help you stay more focused in everything that you do, to be in the moment, help banish that disconnected feeling that we all get when we're super stressed out. So whether you're new on your witchcraft journey or you're a seasoned witch who's been doing this for a while, let's talk a little bit about grounding and centering. It's a 101 technique that everybody needs to know, and sometimes we need a refresher on as well. Coming up next. Welcome to the Witch's Studio. I am Mickie Mueller, author, illustrator, and witch, not necessarily in that order. And I love bringing you topics about witchcraft, spells, witchy tips, tricks, and I'm really excited to start bringing some topics of Witchcraft 101 here as well. I love innovative spells. I love witchcraft on a dime that doesn't require a lot of specialized tools. I'm all about the practical stuff here. If that sounds like something that's right up your alley, then you are in the right place. In order to make sure that you get to see more videos just like this one, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and there's a little bell down there. If you ring that bell, then you'll be notified every time I have a new video. So without any further ado, let's get started talking about grounding and centering. So this is a practice that every witch should know. And it's also a practice that every witch should be thinking about. Even if you've been doing this for a while, sometimes we forget to do the little simple things that we learned all those years ago, right? There are so many witchcraft techniques like these, you guys, that we use only when we're casting spells. But some of these techniques we can use in our everyday lives to make our lives better. And this is one of them. And once you've practiced and you've done it for a little while, you'll get to where you just do it really fast and automatically, and it doesn't even take any extra time hardly to do it. But it's so worth it, because when you approach your witchcraft in the right state of mind, when you are centered and you are with yourself and you're standing in your power, you're going to be able to cast much more powerful spells. So what is grounding and centering? We call it grounding and centering. And every place that I've ever practiced witchcraft, all the covens that I was involved with, any public rituals that I've ever done, it's always called grounding and centering. But really it's kind of more like centering and grounding, because oftentimes the centering part happens first. I don't know why we say them in that order, but really we kind of oftentimes do it in the opposite order. When you're centered, it means that you have your energies aligned, and we have energies that run through our body. When we are centered, our energy flow is nice and even and smooth, and it makes it much more conducive to performing magic. The grounding part is very important as well. When you approach magic and you're not grounded, what can happen is this. You're trying to focus on your spell, you're trying to raise energy, but your head is elsewhere. You're not really in the game. You might be trying to focus on your outcome that you want for your spell, and instead all you've got is something humming in your head from whatever happened earlier that day. Maybe you had a hard time at work and you're not really in the right headspace to be doing witchcraft. This is why grounding is so important, because grounding helps to bring us into our bodies. The reason that I started thinking about this again, you guys, and again, this is a basic practice that I learned years ago, and I decided myself personally, as someone who's been practicing for 20 plus years, that I needed to revisit and focus more on this simple process of just grounding my energy. And this is because I'm doing a lot of shadow work this year, and I started to realize something, a lot of things that I was not doing that I need to be doing, that I know better, and one of them is grounding. So while I started thinking about these things, I thought I need to share this with you guys too, because my new people might not know how to ground properly, and all of you guys who are with me on this YouTube journey but have been witches for a while, you might be like me and just kind of realizing that you haven't been doing it. So how do you know when you need to ground? Well, it's always a good idea to do grounding and centering before you do any spell, before you do any ritual. But you also might need to do it if you're having a hard time focusing, if you're feeling a little foggy. The thing that I've discovered recently is sometimes I dissociate. And this is something that I didn't know about myself until this year when I started working through my therapy. And I didn't know what that was. I've been doing it my whole life. Dissociation is kind of when you're very foggy and you're not focused and you're outside of your head and you feel like you're not really in control of yourself. You're just kind of like hovering outside. And that happens to people in different degrees. While my dissociation is relatively minor, there's a lot of people who experience it to a much greater degree. I'm able to actually function through mine, albeit not at my best. And I want to be at my best. And the best thing that you can do to help you stop dissociating, grounding and centering. And so that is why I decided that it was time to start working more consciously on grounding every single day. And so I have lots of techniques here that I'm going to share with you guys. And I think you're really going to appreciate it, because the thing is, when you're grounded, you are very present for everything that's happening in your life. You're very connected to yourself. You're connected to the earth below your feet. You're connected to the world around you, and you're much more capable of handling the things that life throws you if you are in a grounded place. So the first thing that I'm going to teach you is how to center yourself. And this is so easy and so simple. It can go very quickly, and it just takes just a minute. And it's basically visualization, and you don't have to see it in your eyes. You can just feel it, or you can sense it any way that you want to. It's just basically imagining this being a thing, okay? The reason that you want to be centered is because your energy runs through your body, and if you're not centered, then your energy is just a little off and skewed, and it's like trying to push water through a crimped hose. And that doesn't work so well. So what you basically want to do is uncrimp your energy hose. Your energy hose. Who knew? But it's important. So what we want to do first is kind of shake it out, stand with your feet on the ground. And if you're standing and your feet aren't on the ground, there's your first problem. Stand with your feet that are about the same width as your hips, and just nice and even. And just stand so that your weight is evenly distributed on both of your feet. And then the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to imagine that there is a cord that runs from the base of your spine all the way up right through the center of your body, and it comes out of the top of your head, and it goes way up to the sky, and it is going to pull everything up and straight. And as you do that, you just imagine your body lining up nice and straight with that cord. And that's centering. That's really easy, right? That's not so hard. There's another method that you can use for centering, and I call this the aura method, or the solar plexus method. And your solar plexus, I've showed you guys this before, but I'll show you again. Oh, it's funny. It actually kind of lines up right with this little eyeball on my shirt. So I did not plan that. Find the center of your chest and your belly button, and it's about halfway point between those two, and that's your solar plexus. So then what you're going to do is you're going to imagine that your energy is all around your body, because it is. It extends away from your body. And what you're going to do is, with your mind, you are going to pull that energy in as tight as you can towards your solar plexus. And if it helps, you can hold your hand there and just focus on your energy pulling in as tight as you can. It's okay if it doesn't go all the way to your solar plexus. It's not going to. But you just want to pull it all so it's anchored there at your solar plexus. So just keep pulling the energy in, and just imagine yourself pulling that energy in. That energy that you feel outside of your body, that's kind of like your social bubble. And when you feel people getting too close to it, and you're like, "Ugh, you're a little close to my bubble." These days our bubbles are a lot bigger. They're probably about 6 feet, right? But it's that energy. So pull that in towards your solar plexus as tight as you can get it. Just pull it in, and now like a rubber band, just release it and hold it at the center of your solar plexus at the same time. So as you're doing it, you're anchored at your solar plexus, and then you release your energy out as you breathe out, and just feel it expanding. If you have it anchored properly at your solar plexus, it's going to align properly as it expands back out again. And then your energy is centered. Super easy. It's not that hard, and it's all done through just your imagination. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is grounding. This is a technique that I first learned reading books. Every public ritual that I've ever been to, every coven gathering that I've ever been to, we always do this before we begin our ritual or our spells that we're working on. And this is the technique that's usually used. A lot of people will refer to this as the tree technique, and it will make sense to you when I explain to you how it works. You're going to stand with your weight evenly distributed between both of your feet. Your feet should be about at the same width as your hips. And as you do that, you're going to visualize roots growing down through the bottom of your feet and into the earth. If you're in an apartment and you're on like the second story or you're way up, it doesn't matter. You just visualize them going down and down and down until they reach earth. And when they reach earth, they will penetrate the earth and they'll go down into the earth. And then what you do is you imagine any stressors, anything that you have carried with you throughout the day, anything that's weighing on your mind, you just envision all of those things just pouring down into those roots, down into the ground. And as they do, they're going to meet the ground, and the earth will neutralize all of those energies. So you just basically spend some time pushing all of those things down into the roots. Send them away. Send them into the roots. And then you stand there for a few minutes and just feel how good it feels to be connected to the earth through those roots in your feet. And then you can start absorbing earth energy up through those roots and back into your body. So what you're doing is you're casting away energy that's emotionally charged with all the crap that you've dealt with throughout the day, week, month, year, whatever, and you're sending that down your roots, and it's becoming neutralized, and then you're drawing back up nice, balanced, clean, fresh, powerful earth energy, and you pull that back up through your roots and into your body, and you just visualize, imagine it, you can feel it in your body, filling up all the way to the top of your head. And that is a really simple way to ground. And you can do that anywhere. If you're feeling stressed out, you can do that as you're standing in the grocery store line. You can do it in your office if you're at work. You can do it, if you're having a super stressed out day and you're an essential worker and you just have a minute to go to the bathroom or something, go in the bathroom, wash your hands, do the thing, and then just take a moment to ground and center yourself. Pull that energy in, make sure your energy's aligned, and connect with the earth. Super easy technique. Okay, so here's the thing. Not everybody's into that technique, or you just might want some other ways of doing it. So I got a couple more for you guys. These are also grounding techniques that people use a lot of times who dissociate. And the good news is that you can also use it to help you feel more connected to yourself so that you can properly perform witchcraft. Just like you can use the tree method that I just taught you, you can use that one if you're dissociating. You can also use the dissociating techniques for grounding for your witchcraft. Those things are interchangeable because grounding is grounding is grounding. And there are a lot of connections between psychology and witchcraft. A lot of witchcraft has to do with your state of mind, your ability to focus. What do you want in the world? What do you want in life? So all of these things are interconnected and we can use them. So the next one I'm going to teach you is an elemental grounding technique. And this is to help you connect more with your body, to be in your body and be present. So we think about the four elements of air, fire, water, and earth. And these are the mainstays of witchcraft. And sometimes we think about them as being something that is outside of our bodies, but we carry every single one of those elements within our bodies. So when we can use the concept of the four elements to connect with ourselves, we can really ground ourselves in the reality that we are magic ourselves, and that we have the power to make our world what we want it to be. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to feel the element of air. And the element of air in your body is so simple to get in touch with because it's in your lungs. You draw air in and you release air constantly, constantly. If you don't, you wouldn't be alive. And so this is really important. And this is a theme that we seem to keep coming back to all the time this year, is that concept of breath. So the first part of this grounding exercise is breathing. And simply all you're going to do is breathe in, and as you do it, you're going to focus on the idea of air. The element of air is part of you. So the way that this works is you're going to breathe in for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds. You will do this 3 times. And here's how we do it, and you can do it with me. Okay, ready? And then you just say thank you to the element of air. Now the next element is the element of fire. And you may say to yourself, Mickie, I don't have fire in my body. Yes, you do. You do. You have electrical currents that run all through your body. Every thought is a little spark of electricity that runs from one synapse to the other. When you think with your brain, I want to move my finger, your brain sends a message electrically that goes down into your arm, up to your finger, and tells it to move. And that is how it all happens. Red rum. When I say you have fire in your body, you do, in the form of electricity. You have electricity in every cell of your body. So when you're focusing on the element of fire and you're doing your grounding, what you want to do is you will just go through your body, and you can start from your toes and just tense your muscles. And as you tense them, from the fire and the electricity in your brain is sending the messages down that's the part of your body that you want to tense. So you're being conscious of that element of fire, and you're feeling it within your own body. So you just start with your toes and you tense them, and your feet and your calves, and you can just tense and release, tense and release. You don't have to keep them tense. And then your knees, your thighs, your hips, your stomach, you come up your chest, you just tense as you go, tense and release, tense and release. Come up to your shoulders, tense and release, your arms, your hands, your neck, your face, and you can go if you want. And if you're really good, you can even tense the top of your head. I can do it. You can kind of just tense all the way, and that is the element of fire. And you have felt what the element of fire can do throughout your entire body. So now you're experiencing that as well. So the next element that we're going to use for our grounding exercise is the element of water. So the element of water exists in our bodies in many, many ways. In this exercise, we're going to focus on our heartbeat, because that pushes the liquid all throughout our body. So you can do this a couple different ways. You can actually just put your hand on your heart if you want to, and feel your own heartbeat, and just count it as it cycles that blood through your body that is associated with the element of water. and you can let it just cycle through. You can sense it leaving your heart and going throughout your entire body. Imagine it. Feel that blood circulating through your whole body. You can also, if you're trying to do this in a place where you don't want to be so obvious, if you're not doing it for pre-ritual and you're just doing it to help you calm and ground yourself in a stressful situation, you can literally just take your own pulse and feel your heartbeat and realize that that's the element of water and that it flows through your whole body. And all you really need to do is just visualize it. Picture it in your head or feel it in your own body. Sense it in whatever way that you can. This concept of the blood pumping through your body. And you can actually feel it from the point at which you begin and just feel it radiating out. Imagine it, the blood's going through your fingers, going down your arm, going through your shoulders, going up into your head and your brain, and then coming back down and going down your whole trunk of your body and down into your hips and your thighs and all the way down to your toes. And just imagine and visualize that blood flowing through your body as the element of water. And once you've completed that one, then we come to the element of earth. And for me, the element of earth is connected to our bones. And so you can do something very similar to what we did for the element of fire. Instead of just tensing the muscles, though, you can actually flex those joints. So you could like flex your toe joints and then flex your ankle bones and then your knees and your hips. Coming all the way up, you can flex your spine and kind of twist it around and feel it move. And every one of those joints reminds you about your bones that you have in your body. And so flex all your bones and feel them. And you can even like chomp your teeth a little bit if you do it very lightly, just kind of go. And you feel those bones in your body and really connect with them as the element of earth. And once you've completed that, your senses are filled with yourself, with your own body, and you're very grounded. You're very in the moment, you're very present, and you're no longer going to have a hard time focusing, and you're going to be better prepared for anything that you have to deal with. So that is how you do the elemental grounding technique. And it seemed like it took a few to do it right now, but that's because I'm explaining to you how to do it. You know, it'll take just 2 or 3 minutes and you can get through it. So it's a really fast and easy way for you to ground if you don't want to use the tree technique. Another technique that I will teach you guys that I learned recently myself, and this one works really great if you're in any situation where you're feeling super stressed out. Yes, you can also use it prior to spellcraft or ritual, but it also works great if you're just out and about and you're having just a moment where you're feeling super stressed and you start to feel disconnected and you're just having that moment where you're just like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. It can help you bring you back to yourself. So this is really easy and it uses your 5 senses. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say to yourself, okay, what do I see? I'll walk you guys through it myself right now. What do I see? I see my phone, I see my light, I see my studio behind me, I see my desk there. And then you ask yourself, what do I hear? I hear the hum of the computer in the next room. I hear my sound of my own voice to a certain degree. I hear the cars occasionally going by on the streets outside. And then you ask yourself, what do I smell? I smell the incense that I lit earlier today. That's what I mostly smell. And that's enough. That's enough. If there's one thing that you can smell, that's enough. And then you ask yourself, what do I feel? And you can feel anything that's around you. You can feel your own hands. If you have jewelry on, you can just touch your jewelry. You could say, I feel my bracelets. I feel my rings. I feel the feeling of my clothes on my skin. I feel my feet in my shoes. Anything around you that you can access with the sense of touch. If you're having a really hard time kind of getting that grounding feeling going, you can touch one hot thing and one cold thing. Like for instance, I can touch this shelf and then I can touch my skin, my own skin, and I can feel the difference between the hot and the cold. And sometimes that's helpful. And then you ask yourself, what do I taste? I taste a little bit of the toothpaste from earlier today. The taste one is a little more of a challenge sometimes, but I have found that even if you don't have anything in your mouth, you can get a little bit of salt and put it on your tongue. Sometimes that will just help to trigger that what do you taste moment for you. So that's like a really simple technique that you can use. If you've ever been to a public ritual, you'll notice that they have sights and sounds and smells and all of these different things. And that is to help ground you in your body so that you're focused enough to perform the ritual. So we've talked about we do this before ritual, but it's also a good idea to ground yourself after ritual. And sometimes I've heard of lots of people, and this has happened to me too, where maybe you're doing some really intense magical work, and when you're done, you're just buzzing with energy. Has this ever happened to you guys, where you just feel like you're just like super buzzy? Buzzy is the only way I can think to describe it, but like you're just practically vibrating because the energy is so strong. I've been at group rituals with my covens in the past that we raised so much energy that we sent everything out that we could, but we still were just super vibey, and we would actually lay down on the ground, some of us who were just really still feeling it, hadn't been able to release all of the energy that we needed to, and lay down on the ground and do that grounding work again. And so these are also techniques that you can use for that moment. If you finished a spell, you've put all your stuff away and you're like, whew, I'm still just really, really vibing out. You go ahead and use these grounding techniques, any one of them. You don't have to use all of them. Just pick one that you like and use that, and it will help you to ground your energy back out and get back to a balanced place where you need to be. This is also one of the reasons that we have cakes and ale at the end of a lot of rituals. Not all paths do that, but there are a lot of them who do. As food, eating something is another really good way to ground your energy. Almost every coven gathering that I've ever been to or hosted, we always ritual first and food and drink after, because it helps you to ground that energy out. The kinds of foods that are best for grounding your energy are going to be things like potatoes, root vegetables, stuff like that. Rice. I have found that rice is really grounding. It's a very earthy food. Also, proteins are really important when you want to ground, and it doesn't matter if they're animal proteins or if they're plant proteins. Whatever your dietary needs are, you can find proteins that are going to work for you. So there are other things that you can do on a daily basis if you, like me, find yourself ungrounded more often than you would like to be. There are herbs, you guys, that are also helpful in grounding. They include basil, thyme. If you want to drink some tea that's grounding, try rooibos tea or a chai tea. Both of those are really good for grounding. And my very favorite that I like for grounding, roasted dandelion root tea. And I love that in the morning. Some of you might want to know what kind of stones you can carry with you to help you stay grounded throughout the day. Well, there's lots of stones that are very grounding because stones are all of the earth. Black tourmaline, one of my favorites for grounding. I love this guy, and that's a really good one that you can carry or that you can wear as jewelry, which I do. Black obsidian, that's another good one for grounding, and that's actually what this bracelet is black obsidian. Red jasper is another really good grounding stone. If you have one of those, you can just carry it in your pocket. Hematite, it's a super heavy stone, and it's a very good grounding stone. Smoky quartz is another one, and especially when you're planning on doing magical work, labradorite is a great stone for grounding when you're doing witchcraft or meditation or anything like that. Some people connect better with one stone than another, and that way you have a lot more options. Now, there's more grounding stones out there. If you want to know some stones other than what I mentioned, you can just put that into your browser and search grounding minerals, stones, crystals, and it will come right up. And here's a great tip for you new witches, or those of you who are still in the broom closet. If you really want something extra to help you ground with, and like I said, the foods are great, the teas are great, these exercises, these are all things that you can do quite easily that are completely under the radar. Nobody needs to know that you're doing them. But if you really want to add another physical element to your grounding, which is a great idea, And maybe you don't have the resources to go out and buy a bunch of stones, or you live in a home where it's just not okay, and you're trying to stay under the radar. Any rocks, you guys, just go outside and find a rock. Plain old run-of-the-mill rock out of your yard. You can use that for grounding. That's perfectly fine. All you do is you'll go along the ground and you will say, I'm looking for a rock to help me ground. Which one of these rocks wants to be my partner in helping me stay grounded? And you will be drawn to the right stone for you. You'll see it, you'll get a feeling, a gut feeling, you'll know, and you can say it inside your head. So, you know, if you're like with a partner who doesn't know you're practicing witchcraft and you want to do this under the radar, you totally can. And one of the things that I like to do is hold one rock in each hand and just hold those and connect with them and feel them in your hand. And that can actually help you ground as well. And when you do it, you just do it mindfully, focusing on it. Grounding is a really super important 101 technique, you guys. You need this in your life. It is going to make your life better. It's going to make your witchcraft powerful. It's going to make your spellcrafting experiences so much more enjoyable. And heck yeah, it's going to help you get through the challenges in your life too. So, witchy bonus there. I hope that you guys found this useful and that you enjoyed being here and learning about grounding. Do you guys have any grounding techniques that you like to use that I didn't talk about here? Or what's your favorite stone for grounding? Let's have a conversation down in the comments. I love to hear from you guys. Well, now I feel super grounded, you guys. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. I feel in the moment, steady and sure. And I hope that you guys do too. Try using these techniques from time to time. Try using them before you do spell work. Try using them when you're feeling a little bit stressed out and see if it doesn't help you feel just a little bit better. Here's a couple more videos I think you guys will really enjoy. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, happy, and healthy. And remember, as always, to be your magic. Bye, guys.